We're finding out more about the VCU police investigation into multiple false sexual assault reports, how students are reacting, and what the chief of police has to say. Virginia's March for Life attracts thousands of participants rallying against abortion. We hear from marchers as well as Virginia Planned Parenthood about where Virginians stand on the issue of abortion care. A bill expanding school crossing safety zones to universities like VCU fails in the General Assembly. We have more on how students are reacting. All those stories and more are coming up now on VCU InSight. Hello, and welcome to VCU InSight. I'm Carly Woodcock. Former President Donald Trump and GOP presidential candidate Nikki Haley are making stops in the River City starting today. Trump plans to hold a Get Out the Vote rally this Saturday. That's 3 days before Super Tuesday, which is March 5th. The rally will be held at the Greater Richmond Convention Center. Doors open at 3 p.m. and it starts at 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, Nikki Haley attended an event at the West End Richmond on West Broad Street this afternoon. The former governor of South Carolina and UN ambassador is voting to stay in the race through Super Tuesday. Thousands of people want lawmakers to hear their voices as they participated in Virginia's March for Life. Governor Glenn Youngkin also made an appearance and marched with the pro-life crowd. VCU InSight reporter Matt Bowman has more on why people traveled from across the state to be here.
Oh, come on, you came a long ways. What are you marching for? Oh yeah, hey, listen.
Virginia March for Life supporter Jean Howard is from Matthews County and got to the Capitol early.
I drove about an hour, 20 minutes to get here.
Howard says she has been a pro-life advocate for many years and says there's only one way to fix the divide.
I see too much everybody being very angry these days, and we've got to handle this with kindness, because once you get angry, you don't listen.
Before the march, Virginia Republicans spoke at a rally calling for the crowd to make sure lawmakers hear them.
And this is what it takes. You have to stand and be counted.
But if you want to change the minds in that building over there, it's going to start with the minds of your own family.
Right now at the state capitol, the debate over abortion is ongoing.
The Democratic-controlled Virginia House of Delegates plans to make an amendment to state constitution regarding abortion. This could happen next year.
According to the Division of Capitol Police, an estimated 3,000 people of all ages came from across the state. Virginia high schooler Amelia Hamrick is celebrating a decision her mother made years ago.
Well, so my mom had me at a young age, and I'm just really thankful that she herself was pro-life and really thought about everything and decided to have me. I mean, I'm about to graduate, so from an unplanned pregnancy to senior in high school, it's special.
Whether it is personal or political, the issue of abortion will continue to be a heated debate. Reporting at Capitol Square for VCU InSight and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Matt Bowman.
With the Virginia March for Life bringing attention to the topic of abortion, pro-choice advocates say the march does not accurately reflect a majority of Virginians' opinions on the issue. While thousands of people participated in Virginia's March of Life, Planned Parenthood advocates say this is a vocal minority. Executive Director of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Virginia, Jamie Lockhart, says they are a proud abortion provider, but also help with access to contraception, STI testing, and gender-affirming care.
Needs or wants of the majority of Virginians. Virginians want to live in a place where everyone feels empowered to make decisions about their own reproductive futures and health without fear of judgment or interference.
Pro-choice advocates are hoping for more legislation in next year's General Assembly that will protect abortion rights. Democratic Representative Abigail Spanberger is pushing for more IVF protections. This is happening as the Alabama Supreme Court determined frozen eggs to be unborn children. Spanberger is joined by other elected officials from Virginia on both sides. According to WTVF, Republican Governor Youngkin says through a statement he will always protect access to IVF and fertility treatments for Virginians. Just this week, Representative Spanberger co-sponsored a bill for protection of IVU use nationwide. A VCU health employee is being charged with 2 counts of making false police reports after admitting to fabricating 4 sexual assault incidents on VCU's campus. InSight reporter Chelsea Brooks Giles sits down with the VCU police chief about being transparent to help the community feel safe.
Earlier this month, VCU students and staff received an alert about 2 sexual assault cases that occurred near and in Cabell Library. One report said the victim was assaulted in a bathroom. The other report said they were followed and attacked in an alley. Students were put on high alert.
Unsettled. I kind of didn't want to go to the library by myself or late anymore because I'm a single female and I'm young and in college, so it's very, I felt kind of unsafe.
But it turns out the 2 reports that allegedly happened here at the library were false, and they weren't the only ones. VCU police found the 2 previous reports filed on both campuses were fake and reported by the same individual. VCU Chief of Police John Venuti said the report started in 2022.
We were able to tie this through a bunch of different similarities to the same individual that reported all of them. They obviously confessed.
The chief says filing false reports are rare.
I began providing a lot of additional resources, and so all of those resources were provided really for no reason.
But Venuti emphasized all reports made to the VCU police are taken seriously.
And if you come to the VCU Police Department to report an incident, you'll be believed, you'll be supported, you won't be judged.
The chief urges the community to speak up if they see something suspicious. He says one charge could be up to 12 months in jail. For VCU News in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Chelsea Brooks Giles.
A bill expanding the definition of school crossing safety zones to include public and private universities is no longer moving forward in the General Assembly. InSight reporter Jimmy Sidney is on campus getting students' reactions.
I'm here at a street named after VCU student Sean Suarez, who was hit and killed by a car last spring. Students say that if this bill had passed, it would have made streets like this one around campus safer. 2 similar bills in the House of Delegates and State Senate were proposed in response to the death of 2 VCU students who died after being struck by cars last year. Pedestrian traffic injuries are on the rise in Virginia statewide. The bill would have allowed universities to opt in and create 25-mile-per-hour speed limit zones.
I mean, it's kind of disappointing. It makes sense to have stuff like that, especially in a campus with as many people as we have.
The biggest reason why this bill failed? There was an issue with the inclusion of speed cameras as part of the proposal. Among the concerns, privacy, the public's perception of that technology as a money-making opportunity, and the concerns that speed cameras over-police communities of color.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely valid concerns, but at the end of the day, what I think is probably a more valid concern is keeping student body safe, because you get a ticket, that's a fine, okay? Or you have to show up to court. You kill someone on the street, you kill someone on the road, that's completely different.
Advocates for the bill argue that speed cameras are the most effective way to reduce the speed of traffic on campus when used equitably. Reporting from VCU, I'm Jimmy Sidney for VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU.
You can read more about this story on VCUCNS.com. Several big bills, including access to contraceptives and increasing the state minimum wage, are moving forward in the General Assembly. The newsroom at VCU Capitol correspondent Vali Jamal is in the studio with a look at what is happening in the General Assembly this session. Vali?
Thanks, Carly. Starting next year, Virginia consumers will have access to more contraceptives. New bills require health insurance contracts beginning or renewed after January 1st next year to include coverage for contraceptives. This includes any device or drug approved by the FDA as a contraceptive. The measures are part of lawmaker efforts to ensure reproductive choice for Virginians. The bills have some bipartisan support as they move through the General Assembly. Also, some Virginia workers could expect more cash in their pockets starting next year. Democratic lawmakers in both the House and Senate passed bills to bump the minimum wage up to $13.50 next January. The minimum wage currently stands at $12 an hour. Republicans pushed back against the increase, with Senator John McGuire saying it will affect his constituents, mostly farmers. Democrats say it will help with the growing cost of living. The legislation was passed along a party-line vote and heads to the governor's desk. People who voted yes to a Richmond casino might have to wait at least 3 years for another roll of the dice. The bills follow 2 failed casino votes in Richmond held 2 years apart. The new law, if the governor doesn't veto, says that any city that can't get enough votes the first time has to wait 3 years before trying again. This way, other qualifying cities could try to get a vote. Another bill being heard would allow Petersburg to hold a casino vote. Lawmakers might also pass a bill that removes Richmond from being a possible casino host city. Reporting for VCU at Capitol News Service and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Vali Jamal.
VCU's Capitol News Service digital reporters are pushing out several stories about bills that didn't survive this year's General Assembly session. CNS digital reporter Olivia DeLeo is in the studio with more. Olivia?
Thanks, Carly. The use of fake images and audio, known as deepfakes, continues to grow. And there is concern deceptive media could interfere with the upcoming election. But there will be no state law to regulate deepfakes this General Assembly session. 2 bills are being continued to next year. Lawmakers are trying to add deepfakes to the state definition of libel, slander, and defamation. Hemp farmers were looking to the state capitol to help their industry. Republican delegate Nicholas Freitas wants to increase the amount of THC that can be in industrial hemp plants. This hemp is for fiber and grain. Virginia farmers want to increase THC limits to 1%. They say it will help grow more varieties. Jason Amatucci with the Virginia Hemp Coalition says the current regulations are unreasonable and hemp should be treated like corn.
It's shackling our farmers, it's shackling our industry with red tape and wrapping it around our hands and feet. And so if we can remove this from the government, then I think we can start to expand our industry.
Virginia hemp farmers will wait until next year because the bill is dead, or see if the federal government increases it to 1% first. State lawmakers strike out again with a proposal to allow betting on Virginia college sports teams. Sports betting is legal in the state since 2021, except for youth and college sports. Democrat State Senator Skylar Van Valkenburg thinks it will help end illegal betting and bring in tax dollars for the state. But there are concerns it could drive college-age people to gamble more. And some athletes think it makes them more vulnerable to fan confrontations. Reporting for VCU Capitol News Service in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Olivia DeLeo.
Award-winning author and VCU alumni Jeffrey Blount is promoting the release of his new book on campus. Mr. Jimmy from Around the Way is a story about failure, self-discovery, and the possibility of redemption. With a career spanning over 34 years at NBC News, Blount has become an Emmy Award-winning TV director and is the first African-American to direct The Today Show. At the VCU Library's launch Tuesday night, Blount was joined by his wife as they discussed the meaning behind his new book.
Mr. Jimmy is an African-American billionaire, James Henry Ferguson, who is a humanitarian and philanthropist and well-loved, at least until he suffers a very public and very shocking fall from grace.
Blount has also been inducted into the Virginia Communications Hall of Fame. His book tour continues with stops in Arizona, North Carolina, and D.C. Good news for SNAP recipients. You can now shop at an all-online retailer. The online-only grocery store Thrive Market is now accepting SNAP EBT payments. The membership fee will also be waived for SNAP recipients. Members can purchase their items online, which will then be shipped to their home. According to Axios, almost 30% of Richmond residents have little access to grocery stores, likely due to limited transportation. If you have any plans this weekend, make sure to take your umbrella. Friday will be on the chillier side with a high of 58 and a low of 31 degrees, while Saturday will be warmer with a high of 63 and a low of 43, but with slight showers for your morning commute. With spring break approaching next week, our reporters will be gathering news stories for our next newscast taking place on March 14th. Until then, follow and subscribe to our YouTube and Instagram for the behind the scenes of our VCU InSight news team. For the newsroom at VCU and VCU InSight, I'm Carly Woodcock.